Hey guys, my name's Colin Wood and welcome to the WABC, World Adaptive Boxing Council. A world first for adaptive to be taken seriously in the word boxing, guys. Now, just like to point a few things out. We have the new boxing wheelchair that's been specifically made due to safety reasons, and hopefully we can go through each of those steps to give you a clearer point on why we had to actually make sure that we could include all adaptive, not give them a Superman complex, but also point out the obvious that most people will not be able to do the elite level of wheelchair boxing to which this is. Now, just to argue a good case, step one, nobody should be coming into contact and doing close quarter by hitting each other. That's number one rule. We have to be methodical, especially that we actually have to prevent any injuries in a preparation for these guys to be actually allowed to box. Now, step one is basically anyone knows is that you've got the basic of the punches, which is there is step one, which is the straight jab. Number two, uppercut. Number three is the hook. And then you've got what I call the Wing Chun punch, which is a straightforward motion. So you have 4 punches from one hand to consider. Then, don't forget, that actually happens for this hand as well. We have to do what I call the butterfly motion, which means everything we learn on this side, which is your strength, we have to do on the opposite. So you have to be able to go and move, which is the next step. In order to apply the action, you have to control yourself, which means left and right has to come into action. So orthodox and southpaw has to be taught. Next thing, for that which is competition, anybody who's going to do competition or even spar has to have the right defense. And in a basic chair at the moment, you can only move to a certain point, guys. Yeah, and that means that your body can only rotate half-heartedly. It can't rotate apart from that, which is the backing of this chair here. So what you do is that you have to have a chair that actually is modified, and in order to do that, safety comes along. Step one, if someone's going to throw a punch, that's a lot harder. So even for that straight jab to come through, how do you evade it? Especially if you only come to this point that your back seat actually applies. Sorry guys, but you've just seen a little bit of a demo there. But it's basically that where you have that chair backing doesn't give you that access and free to basically move. So what we've done is that we've had to look at all the other angles. Now this is just one point of the chair, and it's basically that you have to be educated to be able to roll with the punches. And you know, it's a lot harder than what it is, especially now that you have to learn southpaw and orthodox. So what we've got here, guy, is that basically if someone wants to move, that's great. It's basically that simple. But now what we do is I can come backwards, which means that distance has been opened up a little bit longer, which means now that I can come back and throw a shot once I've got myself sorted in that motion. Also applies the other 3 and the Wing Chun punch. So what happens is that now when you're in this action, and I'll come forward a little bit, is that basically now I can roll backwards at a distance to roll back in. That gives you ample time to be educated, and that's why rolling with the punches is a lot harder. Now there is 7 league structures, and we consider those guys because as I come closer to you guys, and especially if I lean forward, we're going to apply something of a major damage which will knock you out. The closer you get, the harder the punches will be. So Step one is to learn the rolling, especially now that you know how to punch a bag. And I'll speak to you soon, guys.